Cree here has been experimented on by a wizard, and this drives her hate for all things that wield arcane magic. Wizards and sorcerers alike, even those that wield divine magic, are barely any above. The markings on her face and her heterochromia come from these experimentations that the wizard performed upon her. So she is a barbarian, hell-bent on getting revenge against magic users. She happens to be a Dwergar. The race here doesn't matter too much if you're just looking at the mechanics of the build. So she's a barbarian with a very standard sort of layout. Perhaps some part of the wizard who was experimenting upon her imprinted himself onto her, and her intelligence is 12 with your bog standard strength, dexterity and constitution. As for her choices, she's gone for athletics. It helped her fight free, and perception to make sure she never gets caught again. There's nothing to pick at level 2 for barbarian. And at level 3, her heart, her life takes a turn. As some part of the experimentation, it has imprinted itself onto her. And she is a wild magic barbarian at level 3. Also at level 3, because she's a Dwergar, she can enlarge herself, which is lovely. And at level 4, upon her vengeance against these magic users, she's going to take Mage Slayer. This isn't a feat I normally take, so let's take a closer look at this. First of all, she has advantage on saving throws against spells cast by creatures within 5 feet of her. That doesn't come up too often, but when it does, it'll be nice. This one, we're going to try and use this if we can. You can use a reaction to make an attack against an enemy after it casts a spell. Doesn't have to be targeted at her, within 5 feet of her. And lastly, enemies you hit have disadvantage when making saving throws to maintain their concentration. Her whole role in this game is to run up to magic users and hit them and stick to them as close as possible. I'm currently in the Goblin camp, not quite level 5, but very close. The sorts of things that we're going to be doing is making sure that our movement speed is increased, so that's why we have momentum here from the haste helmet, potentially from the spurred band. The Moondrop pendant here lets her weave between enemies more easily anyway if she has less than 50% hit points. Going for whatever sword we can at the moment, just whatever does the most damage. We've got Svartalby's Wound Seeker, a nice little pickup from Act 1. That's the best armor we can, thank you Lae'zel. She has loaned that to Cree here. I haven't really come into any gloves or boots that are particularly useful for this build. One thing I want to point out is that while barbarians can't cast spells while raging, if you cast some sort of effect before a fight and then rage, it can still work, but not if you're concentrating on that effect. So let's just see this in action. So let's rage. And we can see she is still enlarged. And then in future turns, you can teleport up to the nearest magic user. Now, there are no magic users here. They are all just your regular sort of fighters. There we are. We get the extra 1d4 damage there from being enlarged. And so this is how it's going to be. We'll come back later, show you a few levels up and some more equipment you can pick up along the way. And so at level 5, we get the extra attack. We get 10 feet extra movement speed, which is really needed as a dwarf, any kind of dwarf or even halfling or gnome. Plus, as a Dwergar, she can cast invisibility outside of combat pretty much any time, all the time, which is very nice if she wants to sneak up on a magic user. She doesn't see it as magic so much, it's just an innate ability of all Dwergar. Level 6 brings us one of the few good things about the wild magic barbarians. A few small buffs. So we've got bolstering magic boon. You or an ally add an extra 1d4 bonus to attack rolls and ability checks, which is good for herself even. And she can restore spell slots. She doesn't have any, but you know, to an ally, level 1 spell slot or level 2 spell slot. And at level 7, you get Feral Instinct, get a +3 bonus to initiative and can't be surprised. This is amazing. One great feature for barbarians. So towards the end of Act 1, I'm just going to go and pick up what will be her iconic weapon. That's a good way to put it. So in here, in the Creche with Ajaknir Jira, this lady here has Witchbreaker, which does 2 things. You have advantage on attack rolls against concentrating creatures. Now, as a barbarian, she can already get advantage if she wants. And we get this weapon attack, Hush You, slash a target and possibly, if they fail a constitution saving throw, silence it for 2 turns, which is lovely. As this is a battle axe, she's just going to use it in the versatile way with 2 hands, just to do that extra bit of damage. I've picked up a few extra items at this point. I've still got the Haste Helm and Githyanki Halfplate, but the gloves, the Growling Underdog, give her advantage if she's near 2 enemies. Again, barbarians can get it, but there is a disadvantage to that attacks against you have advantage. The boots of speed, so for the turns that she doesn't rage, she can use dash or click heals, which is a bit different to dash actually. It says enemies have disadvantage on opportunity attacks against you. There has been a bug with this in the past where it gave enemies advantage, which is not ideal. Gave a Crusher's Ring for the extra 10 feet of movement speed. The periaptive wound closure, so that if and when she heals the maximum amount. And if she's down, she stabilizes at the start of the turn. And we've still got the spurred band, so if she's at fewer than 50% hit points, she gets more momentum for one turn, just to give her that extra bit of movement speed. So now her movement speed is much more respectable, 45 feet. Almost, not quite, almost double what a normal dwarf can do. And so Creche here has seen that Jaknir Jira is a magic user. Menigith Yankee, she's not too happy with that. She's going to open up with this. So we're going to start off with the rage. There's not much more to it than what I showed before. She's just going to focus on any magic users, anyone she sees casting magic first, and then anyone else who's left over second or third or fourth. And so we get Mage Slayer. Let's use it. Let's not counterspell it. Let's see what happens. Oh, missed. It's back to her turn. Even though there was someone who was held here, going after the magic user first. And so this is how the fights are going to go for quite a while. She's okay with the magic users on her team. They're good eggs. It's all good. It's all fine. At level 8, we get a feat. So we're going to go with Athlete to even out the strength. This is to go with a theme of trying to close down the distance towards any sort of mage, because when you have the Athlete feat, your jump distance is increased by 50%. Plus we get this nice little feature here. When you are prone, standing up only uses 5 feet of your movement speed. Now as she's gotten stronger and stronger, the wild magic within her has also gotten stronger and stronger, and in fact this experimentation done on her has inadvertently turned her into a sorcerer. It's not going to make her happy. She's not going to be a good sorcerer with a charisma at 8. But this is what's happened. So she's going to take cantrips that don't depend on the spell save DC. So we've got Light here for her party mates, Minor Illusion for grouping people up, Mage Hand here if she wants some help, and Acid Splash. That's my own personal favourite for opening up boxes, groups of boxes all in one go. As for spells, she's going to go for Shield because it's a good choice. And it should work while raging. It's kind of a bug with the game. It hasn't been fixed. I don't know if it's a feature. It shouldn't be a feature by this point. Plus, she's going to take Enhanced Sleep. And this is so that she can get around more easily. It's also a ritual, so we don't have to worry about spell slots. And now that she's a sorcerer, this lines up kind of well with her wild magic barbarian subclass feature that lets her restore spell slots. And so we will also be getting some random effects once she casts magic. And lastly, for now, level 10, she's going to continue leveling up in Sorcerer for the rest of her time. We get to pick one more spell. Going to go with Expeditious Retreat. This does not work well with Raging, because if she is casting this or concentrating on this and then rages, she loses it. Because when raging, any spell you're concentrating on, you stop concentrating on it. For Meta Magic, she's not really going to be targeting other people, so I'm not going to take Twinned. Going to go for Extended and Distant spell to increase the range of the spells. Now I'm going to do this a little bit differently to normal. I'm actually using a controller at the moment. I don't normally do this. I rarely play with a controller. It's a bit closer, a bit clearer, I think. So when I go through the items here, they'll stay on screen for a while. You let me know which way you prefer it. My old style, where I'm using keyboard and mouse at this point, or the controller UI. We're staying with the Haste Helm. This is so in the first turns of combat, she is faster and can catch up to her prey. Cloak of Protection to increase the armor class and saving throws by +1. This is to make sure she doesn't die so quickly. For her boots, I'm going to go with the Disintegrating Nightwalkers. I've actually just switched them out because I had the Boots of Speed on and I just realised that taking Expeditious Retreat and having the Boots of Speed is kind of pointless, because if I've got the boots, I don't need the spell. So this stops her from being enwebbed, entangled, ensnared, and can't slip up on grease or ice, and gives her one extra use of Misty Step. For her armour, nothing particularly special, nothing really thematic in the sense of it being special, just Scale Mail +2. This is to get her the highest armor class you can, one of the highest armor classes, and she gets a +1 bonus to initiative rolls, which she kind of needs because her dexterity is only 14. Going with the Flawed Helldusk Gloves. This is from Damon in the last light in, and this is so she does an extra 1d4 fire damage when she attacks. The strength saving throws +1 is nice, probably not needed as a barbarian, but you can't be too safe. I've still got Creche's ring, as I had before, so the movement speed is +10 feet. This is going to stay there. The ring of free action, so she can ignore the effects of difficult terrain, can't be paralyzed, can't be restrained, so she's free to run up to mages and bonk them on the head. Periactive wound closure, this is the same as before. For her melee weapon, she's got Witchbreaker, this is not going to change. And we're still rolling with the Bow of Awareness here, so we've got another +1 to initiative rolls. So I'm here at the very end of Act 2. We've got some potential enemies here. And she spotted that this person can sculpt spells. They're an evocation wizard or something very similar to it. What's she going to do? She is going to make sure that she's enlarged for a long time. Going to go invisible.
Time to press ahead.
And then go and put this enemy to sleep. Not to sleep. It's going to try and silence this enemy. Oh, no, running around. We are going to rage. And we're going to make an attempt to hush them. Silence they are, right, good stuff. She's going to chase down this wizard. Using reckless attack if needed, just like there. Trying to slow them down so they can't get away. So we can just see here, Cressa Bone Daughter is about to cast Fireball. We're going to use our Mage Slayer and we're going to counterspell it. That was quite satisfying. And then we're going to finish off the turn, the battle probably. Even if she doesn't do it, the rest of the party will help follow up on these attacks. There we are. We have 2 levels left, level 11 and level 12. We're going to continue with the sorcerer. As I said, the sorcerer class. She wants to know people's intentions. She was tricked into servitude and into being a test subject. She does not want that to happen again. For the meta magic, we're going to go with quickened just in case. I actually doubt this is going to come up. The meta magics aren't too useful for her, in all honesty. And then at level 10, she's not a happy chappy. She's quite happy to use friends on other people. She doesn't want to be in the position again where she can be experimented on or exploited. As for spells, I'm going to go with enhanced ability. This is to help outside of combat because she cannot rage and have a spell that uses concentration or cast during combat. And as for a feat, she's going to go dual wielder. You know, what's better than whacking someone over the head with one weapon? It's attacking people with 2 weapons. This helps her utilize her bonus action apart from just using rage. Obviously, she doesn't have the fighting style for it, so she's not going to get the +4 from strength, but every little helps. Plus, there's a +1 armor to armor class. Again, I'm going to use this UI for showing off the items. So for her helmet, she's gone with the Bone Spike Helm. This is made for barbarians, essentially. So when you rage, hostile creatures in a 10-foot radius must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or take 2d8 psychic damage, +2 to intimidation, and she also gets menacing attack. And I want to point out, this menacing attack, as you can see it here, it says here, per turn. Every turn she can use this. Get an extra bit of damage on her attack. We still have the Cloak of Protection. We've got the Boots of Persistence. These aren't cheap. These do come from Damon in Act 3, so she has freedom of movement the whole time and Long Strider, so she's always got the high movement speed. And Dexterity saving throws +1. Hair helps. The Armor of Agility. You add your full Dexterity modifier. That's not really any different for her. Her Dexterity is 14, so it's +2 like normal medium armor. But to help her resist spells, and she's not happy with people casting spells on her, gives her a +2 to saving throws. She picked up the Martial Exertion Gloves. So this gives Martial Exertion. Let's have a look at this. Push past your physical limits, taking the 66 piercing damage to gain an additional attack and double your movement speed. Now, this does have the downside of doing damage, but if she uses this after raging, that damage is halved, which is a pretty big boon for her. She still has Crusher's Ring, that's not any different. And we can see she's got the Ring of Truthfulness. This is to go with the idea of just trying to see what people are saying to her. Are they lying? Is she going to be tricked again? She is not happy with what happened to her in the past, so she's got advantage on insight checks. For the necklace, she's got the Phase Semblance Amulet. Apart from just having bonuses to saving throws, she now has advantage on Intelligence, Wisdom, and Charisma saving throws, which are the sort of spells or the sort of saving throws to resist being controlled by other people. She's still got the Witchbreaker here, but in this hand, what is she going to wield? Where's it gone? This one. The Dwarven Thrower. She is a dwarf after all. So she's either going to wield this, so she can throw it and hurt people more, or if she feels like she's about to fight a mage, perhaps she might swap it. I mean, you did remember to make the Susa Dagger earlier, didn't you? So she's going to have the Susa Dagger, which this is a bit misleading. It says it silences targets on hits, but actually there is a saving throw to resist it. The DC is, I think, 12, 13. It's not particularly high. It's a Constitution saving throw, but goes with the theme of silencing enemies, so they can't cast spells on her. Anyway, we're going to go with the Dwarven Thrower for now. And her bow has changed to the Hell Rider Longbow. This is to give her a +3 bonus to initiative rolls. It does also give advantage on perception ability checks. I suppose that is a nice bonus. She's not going to use it to attack, so the Fiendish Fire isn't really going to be doing very much for her. But once per turn a creature hit by this weapon will possibly be afflicted with Fairy Fire, which means everyone has advantage against them and they're lit up and they can't be turned invisible. We will want to help those in servitude. So she is not happy with the situation with the Gondians. She knows that Black Gauntlet Tamia Holtz is the worst. Right. Shadowheart's going to lead the charge. Go on in.
She's a follower of Bane.
We're going to try and get the Gondians to fight for us. Now, as a barbarian sorcerer, she can either give her bolstering magic boon, which is an extra 1d4, or she can give advantage. I'm going to go with advantage. I think there's a slightly better chance. Uh-oh. We will try that again. All I need is an 11. It's a 50% chance with each dice. There we are, eventually it succeeds. So on the first turn, gonna run in. Lovely movement speed. All these tooltips turning up. When using the controller, kind of reset them, right? First things first, rage. Get that damage from raging and the mixture of the raging and the helmet. Okay, everything's difficult terrain for anyone apart from her. That will stop everyone from getting away so well. Right, we're going to start with trying to silence the Black Gauntlet here. But to give a higher chance for that, I'm going to try and make them bleed first, because bleeding inflicts disadvantage. Uh-oh. Ah, they saved it. That's okay. Never mind. I'm going to use this. Reduce some of the damage. Which actually works really well, because it minuses 6 and then halves the remaining. 4 damage was done. Hardly anything. We get 1 extra attack. Let's try and use this one. I don't think they can be feared anyway, actually. Yeah, immune to being frightened. Anyway, a nice start. Going for the biggest baddie here. Three's in two minds about the Gondians, because they basically will and do start using magic, but they're trying to free themselves from their captors, so she kind of allows it for now. Right, they look like a bit too much like magic. So we're going to leave the half-orc alone and go for the human. I'm Consul Malik the Cruel. Don't particularly care about an opportunity attack. And stop them from getting away. And we'll get 1 extra attack. Oh, didn't work. Let's go for Tides of Chaos. Whack. 13 damage. Not bad, because we are raging. And because we've got enlarged. And we rolled an 8. That helps. When I say not bad, I mean not bad for an offhand attack when you don't have the 2-weapon fighting style. These guys are not long on this mortal coil. Alright, so let me know what you think of Cree. What changes would you make to her? I know Barbarian Sorcerer isn't normally the most common thing put together. I didn't show off all the spells. I'm not going to show every fight I've ever done with her. But I like the idea that that Cree here has to overcome her hatred for magic at least a little bit to be accepting of herself at the very least. Fast little dwarf. Going to be throwing the hammer. And I do want to point out, I didn't show it, that if we do throw the hammer, it's going to start a fight, but never mind. it does actually go back to her offhand, so she can use it again. Of course, you can change the weapon. There could be loads of weapons, but Witchbreaker is non-negotiable. Do let me know if you preferred the inventory UI with the controller over the keyboard and mouse, over this like usual sort of setup I have. Thank you very much for watching. If you made it this far, please do consider subscribing, and hopefully I'll catch you in the next one.